This month I have been suffering from success, the success of finding a lot of books, and that's why I have the pleasure of inviting you all to my very special Nordic book haul. If you're not already subscribing to my channel, I'm Øystein and I am Norwegian. I also talk a lot about books, so let's get started. Who are the Nordic countries? Well, we're countries in Northern Europe, consisting of Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and in addition to this, 3 autonomous territories, Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Åland. It may be easier to define the Nordics from the outside, but I picked up 3 things. The first one is that we're all small countries with small economies, so we're very dependent on the rest of the world. The second is that Norwegians, Danes, and Swedes understand each other quite well, but it's harder to understand Finnish and Icelandic for us. And lastly, we all drink a lot of coffee, so we're quite known for drinking a lot of coffee, and I am no exception. When it comes to books and reading, I think we're most known for our Nordic noir as a genre, and the Nobel Prize is given out in Sweden. And Alfred Nobel was Swedish. One thing I didn't predict, but I much appreciate about having this channel, is that I get a lot of tips about Nordic books from you guys, even though mainly you are not Nordic, at least that's what my YouTube stats tell me. The reason I'm telling you this is because the first book on this list is a book I bought because 2 of you recommended me reading it at some point, and that's Independent People by Haldor Luxness. This is an Icelandic author, which is quite often compared in many ways to Sigrid Undset, and especially her Kristin Lavransdatter, which I have talked a lot about on this channel during this past year. And Luxness also won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1955. The novel is about a sheep farmer on Iceland called Bjartur, and he is fighting for his financial independence. But he also has a daughter who wants to find her own way in life, and those 2 things don't combine, or at least they do not see eye to eye on the matter. It was first published in 1934, but I still get that Nordic noir vibe from it, and I'm looking very much forward to reading it. It's a bit long, so it won't be soon, I think, but I will read it indeed. One side effect of reading more books and about authors is that the names of the authors suddenly appears a lot more than it did before, magically. And for you that watches my videos, you know that I love going thrifting, and that's what I've done this month as well. Haldor keeps on appearing, and this is Iceland's Bell. This was published in 1943, and I'll give you a short summary. At the close of the 17th century, Iceland is an oppressed Danish colony, suffering from extreme poverty, famine and plague. A farmer and accused thief named Jon makes an improper joke about the Danish king, and soon after finds himself a fugitive charged with the murder of the king's hangman. That really sounds like a book for me, a plot-driven, action-filled book from Iceland. I'm looking forward to it. I've done something this month that I thought I would never do. I've bought a book that I've already read, and it's not because I'm going to read it again. It's because I can put it on my shelf and be happy about my shelf growing and feeling accomplished. And it's allowed since I've read it, so that's easy. It's the sequel to the Beatles book by Lars Christensen. It's called Lead, like in the material, I think. It's a long time since I read it, and I'm only talking about it today because I felt I had to be transparent about the books I put in my shelf. The next author on the list is an author I have heard a lot about, but not for the book I'm talking about today, and that's the Finnish author Tove Jansson with her book The Summer Book. And she is of course mostly known for her Moomins characters. I do not know how well they are known outside of the Nordics, but in the Nordics they are huge. And if you travel to Finland at some point, it's not many meters you have to walk until you stumble upon a Moomin. This book is about a 6-year-old and her grandmother, and they spend a summer together where they talk about everything in the world, including the death of the 6-year-old's mother. Will this book make me cry? I'm pretty sure it will. It just seems like the most cozy of novels. Tove Jansson is an author I'm pretty sure I will read a lot from, including the Moomin books, but they are hard to find thrifted because they are very popular and they are gorgeous, so that's also reasonable. We're going to travel back to Norway once again, and this time to Roy Jacobsen and the book The Unseen. This was actually nominated for the 2017 International Booker Prize, which I did not know before making this video. But it's quite sad that that's an incentive to read this book. But it is, because if it's nominated for the Booker Prize and Norwegian, I should read it, shouldn't I? This is the first of 4 books, and in the books we meet Ingrid, which grows up between the 2 world wars on the small island in northern Norway. And I think I'll have to read the tagline so it will be correct. She has to learn what everyone no longer can, and more. Seems quite dramatic. I do not know if Roy Jacobsen will be my kind of author. I've been thinking that he won't be, but I'll give it a go. I think the next book will be the most famous book of them all, and this is also from a Norwegian author. It's Henrik Ibsen's Pergint. Maybe our most classic Norwegian author, with one of its most known plays. This is also known for its music because it was composed by Edvard Grieg. And to hide my lack of knowledge about this piece, I thought I would actually read the quote from the book so you get an idea of what this is without me making a fool of myself. Per Gynt is a charming but lazy and arrogant peasant youth who leaves home to seek his fortune. Confident of success, he has one disastrous adventure after another. In one, he attends the wedding of a wealthy young woman he himself might have married. There he meets Solveig, who falls in love with him. And then drama starts. It's kinda embarrassing not having read this piece yet, but it's very short and, well, why not? The next book I bought for the cover, and it's Summer Light and Then Comes the Night by Jon Kalmar Stefansson. This is actually a book I've seen a lot of places, but not really thought about. And usually when I go to a thrift store, I go there and I pick up Goodreads or read about the books when I see a cover I recognize. But this time I thought I'll just buy it and hope it's good. And then when I started reading about it later, I think this will be a novel that fits me quite nicely. It came out in 2005 and it's the breakthrough novel of this author, and it's said to be a portrait of an ordinary smaller town in Iceland. The 3 words that is supposed to describe this book is sad, witty and beautiful. Just all the things that make me fall in love with books. Will I love this witty tale from rural parts of Iceland? I'm pretty certain. So this I'm actually thinking about reading quite soon. Talking about books that really touches my emotions, the next author is Fredrik Backman, and with these 2 books I found this time. I'll start off with this one. It's My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry from 2013. I've been talking a lot about this guy this past couple of months, and I will try to make this short, but it seems like many of you also like his books. Elsa is 7 years old and different. Her grandmother is 77 years old and crazy. Standing on the balcony firing paintball guns at men who wants to talk about Jesus crazy. She is also Elsa's best friend, and only friend. If it's half as good as the other things he's done, I'm going to like it, at least. I think I will love it, but like it I will. Then it's Beartown or Björnstad, which I assume is an actual place in Sweden, but I do not know. This novel I'm not really sure about. Some people say that this author has some books that is really not tragic, but has this seriousness to them rather than being cozy and funny, and I think this might be one of them. It's about a community in a small place that no one believes in, but they believe in one thing, and that's their hockey team. I think all of the books today are about small places in the Nordic countries. That's how we roll. And if I'm going to give my predictions, because I never really like to know a lot about the books I'm going to read, is that since she has a guitar on her back, it might not be as easy growing up in a small place and wanting to do something else than play for that specific hockey team. Will I be correct? I don't know. I think Fredrik Backman is going to be a person that I'm going to read a lot of books from, at least. Also, this came with a note. Many of these messages in the books are really heartfelt, and it's just so cozy to read. So this is from a person that says that she really thinks that this guy will love this novel. And that I really love as well. I have this one Icelandic friend that watches my videos, and she recommended to me an author that she really liked, and an author that seems to be a national treasure on Iceland, and that's Yrsa Sigurdardóttir. And the book is called in Norwegian I Know Who You Are, but the real title is I Remember You, and it was published in 2010. And this is supposed to be an absolutely terrifying tale. In this terrifying tale, 3 friends set to work renovating a rundown house in a remote, totally isolated location, but they soon realize that they are not as alone as they thought. I can't really read descriptions for books like this, because they all seem so boring, but I'm sure it's not. And this I'll have to read because a friend recommended me it. And because I've never read any horror genre books. As I mentioned earlier in this video with the recognition of books and authors' names, I found this one also on my thrifting journey this month, and I just bought it because I couldn't really remember which book she had recommended me, so I bought this book just to be sure that I was closer to hitting the right one. And also, buying books in thrifted stores is so cheap, so I usually buy a bag of books for about $10. I can fit a lot of books in those bags, they are quite big. And that's why and how I end up like I do today. We are halfway through the stack of books this time, and I thought it was about time to talk about the elephant in the room. Namely, I got a new lamp. And for obvious reasons, it's bought at IKEA, the Swedish store. I thought I would mention it just because I'm very satisfied with my new lamp. I've sort of been thinking about a solution for this part of the studio for quite some time. Let's get back to business. One side effect of buying a bag of books, as I talked about, is that the urge of wanting to replace your already owned books with some new ones comes really crushing down on you. And I had these books for quite some time, and then I found these 2. I thought this will take a lot more shelf space in my shelf, and that's of course something positive. It doesn't look that good now, but I thought this was kind of cool. It's Amalie Skram with Hellemyrsfolket, which translates to the people of Hellemyr, maybe? I haven't checked out the translation, but it's one of Amalie Skram's most famous works. This is written between 1887 and 1890. Amalie Skram is a classic Norwegian author I really think I will enjoy. I read some of her things when I went to school, and they were all very depressing, and that's why I liked it. In the book we meet a family over 4 generations, from about 1820 and until 1880. They're all from a small place on the western part of Norway, but they sort of travel around the country as the novel goes along. Amalie Skram really wants to show the nature versus nurture aspect of living. Amalie Skram herself went through a lot of pain during her lifetime, and that's why she is known for describing those kind of things in such a detailed and realistic way. To sum it up, Amalie Skram, a predicted favorite Norwegian classic author for me. And then you'll have to watch my videos and see how our relationship develops over the months and years. Then we have her most famous novel, and that's Constance, the story of a naive young woman who sets out to divorce her loving but adulterous husband. Constance is an intimate portrayal of a vibrant woman's refusal to yield to the forces that constrict women's lives in a society that offers them few choices. So that's a short sum up. Also, this book I had from before, but wanted to buy it because it took up more shelf space. I'm sort of joking with that, but also sort of not. My goal is still to fill up this shelf as quickly as I can with books I've read, so the bigger the better. In preparation for me starting to read some Nordic noir novels, we're traveling to Sweden again, and this time with Lars and The Hypnotist. And the fun thing about this author is that it's actually a pseudonym. I have no idea how you pronounce that word, but behind that name there are 2 names, and it's a married couple, Swedish, that write under this name. What I really enjoy about his books is that they're numbered. So this is book number 1. And for me that wants to start reading these novels, maybe that's a very convenient thing. And now let me read you one more generic description of a crime fiction novel. In the frigid clime of Tumba, Sweden, a gruesome triple homicide attracts the interest of Detective Inspector Jona, who demands to investigate the murders. The killer is still at large, and there's only one surviving witness, the boy whose family was killed before his eyes. So it's pretty much Harry Potter all over again. I actually have quite a lot of these Nordic noir novels in my shelf already, but I didn't have any Lars Kepler, so I thought I'd have to. In this black cover, we have Frode Grytten's Bikubesong, or Beehive Song. I talked about him in my last video, and talked about him as an author for intellectuals, just because I don't know. It's just that the people I know that like him is intellectual, and that's why I draw my conclusions. But at least this book is his most famous one, and it's about a place in the western part of Norway, and it's an actual place, it's an actual building, where he writes about 25 different tales from that building, so that's why it's Beehive Song. They're all just like crammed together in this one very boring building, and many of the people in the story are very defined, so they're defined as having one trait or one behavior or acting one way or another. This is very badly put, I think. I'm not in the intellectual category of people who tends to read these books, but will I like it? I have no idea. Let's just move on to the next books. I saved the best for last, because the last is my future favorite author, and that's Tarja Vesaas. And I actually found 3 books of Tarja Vesaas on my quest. I've been thinking a lot about Tarja Vesaas this year, and I thought I would read more from him, because the 2 books I've read I've loved. And so this book in particular I've been looking for. I was very excited when I found it, and then I was a bit disappointed that I suddenly found it everywhere, because this book is kind of dirty and the other ones weren't. I was so excited for this in particular, so I couldn't let it down. Why did I want to read this book in particular? Well, the other books I read have been about deep feelings in people, and they've been very thoughtful, but this is about to be about the madness in people. The plot of the book is that an unknown man comes to an island and suddenly a murder occurs. And I am not going to talk more about it. I'm really looking forward to this book. If it's good, I'm going to be one of those Tarja Vesaas fan club members. The House in the Dark was written in the last months of 1945 during the Second World War. Many people tend to view this book as an occupational drama, but it's also said to be about oppression in general. I really don't know a lot more about this book, other than I'm going to read it. I could not find if this last book is translated or not. It's called Warnot in Norwegian, and that translates to Spring Night. And it's about 2 siblings living on a farm in rural Norway, and one night someone knocks at the door, and it's 2 grown-ups and their kids, and the woman is pregnant, and it's said to be a lesson in what can happen to you when you grow old and what experiences that entails. Tarja Vesaas is one of the authors that really makes me reflect on the way it's written, and maybe that's because it's in Norwegian nynorsk. Who knows? That were all the books, and I must say this was kind of fun, just going over Nordic books and learning more about my own region, even though that has not been a goal for this channel or my YouTube journey in general. It's nice having something to talk about if people ask me about books and authors from my own region. Since you have stayed with this video until now, I think it's safe to assume that you might have been watching any of my other videos as well, which is great, thank you. And that means that you might know something about what types of books I like and which books I might enjoy or might not enjoy. And today I thought I would ask you if you have suggestions for books that you absolutely love, but you think that I will absolutely, let's just call it, not love. So I want you to think about which books do I like but Øystein won't like at all, and recommended them to me because I thought maybe I'll read about 3 books that you guys love and think I will not enjoy, and then I will read them, and I thought I would make a video about them just because that might be fun. I also think that the books must be under 300 pages, just because if it's a longer book, the chances are I will not like it just because it's so long. So if you have books that you love and think I will not love at all, just recommend it to me and I will consider making them a part of the books I'm going to read and see if I disagree or agree or can find something beautiful in them, or if I'll just rant for a while. I don't know if this is a good idea now, but I thought it would be a nice way of trying to broaden my horizons, and sometimes the most beautiful books you'll read is the books you don't anticipate at all. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed my new light. If not, leave me a comment. And there will be links to these books in the description if you want to check any of them out. There will also be a new book haul pretty soon, just because I bought way too many books and I have to stop at some point, but I'm not able to. And I want to make a video about it so you know what I'm up to, of course. I think that's it. Thank you all for watching my video again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!